Greetings, everybody. Talking Trash here. Jason Piche here. Gabe Rodriguez there. We're ready to come at you with more sports talk than you can probably handle. And I know we're going to have to talk about football probably a little bit more than I can handle because I don't have any football written on my sheet. Oh, I have a few things that are football related.
I'll dive into football.
I figured you would. Lead us off with the hot minute. I know where you're going with it, and rightfully so.
Okay, so, hey, remember when ABC Wild World of Sports had their opening, The Thrill of Victory, Agony of Defeat? We would all watch Vinko Bogataj on the downhill, sliding through and crashing. Well, we had three guys kind of crash and burn this weekend in the NFL football playoffs. Kyle Williams of the 49ers, and then two guys on the Baltimore Ravens, Lee Evans, their wide receiver, and their kicker, Billy Cundiff. All three of them now will probably live on in infamy with the likes of Bill Buckner and Scott Norwood. With the football playoffs, I mean, it's really hard. You play one full season, you get to the playoffs, especially with that chance to get to the Super Bowl. And Kyle Williams had two fumbles, one muff punt, one fumble, which led to 10 Giants points and eventually led to the Giants game-winning field goal. Lee Evans had what would have been more than likely the game-winning touchdown catch, would have lived on in Raven lore, but he couldn't hold on to the ball as his second foot almost touched the ground. Some people think it may have touched the ground, but it was too close to call, and the Patriots wound up getting that call. And then in one last-ditch effort, Billy Cundiff had a chance to tie the game and send the game into overtime, and he wasn't able to do that. What I think is wrong is, much like Bill Buckner did, Bill Buckner, when he made his era, it only gave the Red Sox a chance to not to lose the series, but it gave them one more game, Game 7, because he did his era in Game 6. A lot of people forget. So the Red Sox actually had another game in order to try and defeat the Mets. And in Game 7, they were actually ahead of the Mets and couldn't hold the lead with Roger Clemens on the mound. Well, so when I look at the Ravens, when Billy Cundiff missed his field goal, granted it was a short field goal, 32 yards, but that field goal would only given the Ravens a chance to tie the game, where Lee Evans' drop would have actually won the game. So I think Lee Evans probably is more of a GOAT than Billy Cundiff. And in Kyle Williams' case, I don't think there's much you could say for him, but to the credit of all their teammates, they all stood by them publicly, privately, who knows. But it's what's great about the playoffs. Gives you an opportunity to be a hero, and sometimes, unfortunately, you can become a GOAT.
Right, and I think what will determine how GOAT noteworthy these guys are going forward is what happens with the rest of that team. People would always remember Scott Norwood missing that field goal against the Giants, but if the Bills would have won one of the next 3 Super Bowls, maybe they don't remember it as much, and he doesn't become as big a GOAT. If the Ravens come back next year and make the Super Bowl and win it, maybe some of this stuff goes away. It kind of depends on what the rebound issue is, because there are GOATs within almost every game where an accident happened, but then something else happened and it made up for it. You know what I mean? Just because that guy stupidly misplayed punts during the game doesn't mean the 49ers couldn't have still held them or gotten an interception or a fumble, and then he wouldn't have been known as so much of a GOAT. But I think also if the 49ers, if they have another good season next year and they come back, maybe this guy is not as big an enemy as he is if they never sniff the Super Bowl again, or that was the closest they will ever come, you know. But I don't think that's necessarily the case in the Ravens' case. They've been to a Super Bowl before. They've won a Super Bowl before. Right. I don't think he'll be as GOAT-worthy as everyone says he will. And I don't know if I'm breaking my silence about this, by the way, Gabe, because I'm normally this whole thing fires me up. I'm pretty mad about it. But it's talking trash, so we can talk now. But I'm pretty mad about the way this whole football thing shaped up. I know I said to you about a month ago that this is the type of season where, because we only have one dominant team in the Packers, that the Giants and the Patriots tend to find their way to the Super Bowl, and now they're both there. And it's terrible in my perspective, because I do not watch Patriot games. And I usually don't watch Giant games. I didn't watch the Giants-Ravens Super Bowl. I can't remember the last time I watched a Patriots Super Bowl, maybe the one when they played the Eagles. Last time these two teams played, I had tickets to a Canadians game up in Montreal, and boy, I wish I had some again this year, because I will not be taking this game in.
So un-American of you.
Yeah, maybe it is. But you know what? I got a little bit of Canadian in me too.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of un-American, we'll touch on that later. But
all right, I got a one hot minute here, and it's not as damaging as you might think. Normally, I like to talk real trash about people and get to the heart of something. But I want to talk to somebody that I was not necessarily that big a fan of, but he passed away this past week. Joe Paterno at Penn State. Obviously, his career probably did not end the way he would have liked it to, and obviously, he was an old man, and time finally caught up with him. And it seems really weird that, like, in the year where all this stuff kind of happened at the end, that he just didn't really have enough strength to continue going on. And I don't feel like he should be remembered for this scandal that really he was a figure in, but he wasn't the one doing it. And I think that there's a lot of people that are going to come out and only remember him for this scandal, and I feel bad for the Penn State community and for his family and friends, because that's not the way he should be remembered. I was never a big Penn State fan. In fact, I've always liked Ohio State, and Penn State has cost me some things over the years. But you have to respect the years that guy put in the program and what he did in his time there. And you need to forget about that scandal, especially in this week where his family and the community is mourning, because it's just inappropriate. I've seen a lot of jokes and stuff like that. And I'll be the first one to make a joke at inappropriate times sometime and ask if it's too soon. And you know what? Right now, it's still too soon, because Joe Paterno was a great man. He did a lot of good stuff for that community and that college, and he should be remembered as the legend that he was. They should keep the statue up.
See, I think, like you mentioned, I think it's way too early to make jokes, crack jokes, even though it's really easy to. But the reason I think a lot of the talk surrounding Paterno has been about what happened with Sandusky is there's not a large faction of people out there who are into college football and Penn State football. So this story transcended everything. So, like my mom, for instance, who doesn't watch college football, she knows Joe Paterno now.
Right, sure.
Just a lot of people who just, never watch a football game. They just watch their local news or the nightly news. They hear Joe Paterno. So now with word association, if you ask a majority of people out there, they're going to associate Joe Paterno with the Jerry Sandusky thing. So I think a large percent of the public resonates with Paterno and Sandusky as opposed to Paterno, Penn State football coach.
Right. As usual, real fans of the issue will always know what they're talking about versus other people. And also, nice segue, because let's do some word association.
Let's do it. You
want to lead? When you want to give or receive?
I'll receive.
All right. I actually had a bunch of different ones and had to kind of narrow it down. So let me lead it off with Scott Boras.
Wish you were my agent.
Don't we all? Alexander Ovechkin.
Well deserved.
Kevin Love.
Kevin Rich.
Jorge Posada, retired the other day.
Congratulations.
Finally, the only football game I really do want to talk about, Pro Bowl.
Bring your sunscreen.
I know nobody likes the Pro Bowl. People don't even watch it, but I don't know. I like the Pro Bowl.
No. Gamblers will watch.
I will watch the Pro Bowl because the two teams that I don't like to watch won't be there. It's a win-win.
Okay. It might as well be two-hand touch or a flag football game.
Sure. Make it flag football. Why not?
I will say one good thing about it being earlier is that most players aren't that far removed from being out of shape.
Sure. Yep.
So that's one good thing. So maybe that'll lessen injuries, perhaps, since they're in better shape.
It does kind of stink that you don't get the teams that are in the Super Bowl to play in it that are all pros, but then it makes way for other guys who may have not gotten the nod that can.
Right, like Cam Newton, for instance, replacing Eli Manning.
Sure.
So I know a lot of people want to see Cam Newton play because
why not?
You don't get to see him weekly unless you're in Carolina or if he's
Right.
a Sunday night game or Monday night game. So it'll give an opportunity to see a guy like Cam, have a couple highlight reels and things like that.
Give me some word association, Gabe.
Okay,
Already.
let's go Prince Fielder.
He's rich.
He's rich too.
I'm going to say rich.
Rob Lowe.
I'm going to say Chris Traeger. That's the name of his character on Parks and Recreation. I'm a big fan of the show.
Okay. Carmelo Anthony.
Overrated.
Clancy Rugg.
Oh boy, that's I'm gonna say phenomenon.
No.
It's taking over. People are getting on board.
And one of your favorites, last one, Ricky Rubio.
Ooh, exciting. I'm gonna say exciting. I want to see more.
You want to see more?
I do. I want to see more.
Do you have the NBA package? Because we don't get many Timberwolf games.
I don't, but I do get NBA. I do get the NBA network, so every once in a while, I can try to catch a game on there. Love the highlights, but it's
highlights,
right. Highlights is different than seeing a full game. I mean, Blake Griffin is really entertaining in a highlight package over the course of a whole game. Still good, but.
And that's what's great about Ricky Rubio. He's actually making SportsCenter without dunks through passing.
Yeah.
So that shows you how he's kind of transcending the NBA.
I love passing game. It excites me. I love that kind of game. I mean, I like a dunk as much as the next guy,
Right.
maybe more. But
Yeah,
like,
but dunks,
if
they've
it comes
been
off a
done.
sick pass, it's better.
Right. Plus, dunks have been done. How many more dunks can you see? So unless people are dunking over other guys, it's not really that big of a deal.
Or small cards.
Yeah.
It happens. I feel like we should dig more into this football. Do you have more to talk about the football thing? Do you
Football-
have to, let's wring out that football sponge?
I mean,
'cause
as
it's
a-
still a couple weeks away.
Yeah, it's still a few weeks away. I feel like we have a lot to talk about. I mean, looking at the Giants game, you got to give the Giants a lot of credit in terms of, they went to Green Bay, went to San Francisco, and they defeated the 49ers. I felt the 49ers were a little too conservative. They probably had the ball about 5 times with the score tied, including the end of the fourth quarter and overtime, and they never really took any shots down the field. So it's kind of like they were playing not to lose. And against the Giants did a great job, didn't turn the ball over. That looked like that's what the 49ers were hoping for a big special teams play, and that came to bite them in the butt. Like, I feel like Kyle Williams for the 49ers actually deserves a little bit of credit because he was trying to make a play, which is more than I can say for the 49ers' conservative play calling. And, Alex Smith didn't have a great game numbers-wise, but I also didn't think they put him in positions to succeed either. Mm-hmm. And then with the Patriots game, Tom Brady didn't have a great performance. He himself said that he sucked, so that's getting a little overblown. I think Joe Flacco played very well, but there was a key point in the game where the Ravens were going in for a touchdown, and Flacco missed an open receiver in the flat, and they wound up kicking a field goal. If he makes that, maybe the game's tied at the end.
Caller, you're on Talking Trash.
Hey, how's it going? Hearing you guys talking about the Giants and stuff, and badass jersey, by the way. But what do you think about the game? Do you think it's gonna win?
I don't know. Jason seems speechless. You heard Jason already talking about how he might not even watch the game.
There's no might game. I've already said to fellow coworkers, if you would like to watch the game, I will cover your shift.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that the Patriots are going to really want that revenge, but I think that the Giant defense is going to be good enough to stop the Patriots, and I don't think the Patriots defense is going to be good enough to stop the Giants. I think the Giants are going to win, if I had to bet.
I like the Giants in a really close game. I think the Giants are just a more well-balanced team, especially defensively. I think they can make stops when they need to. The Patriots, their defense is playing better, but as you saw, everyone was really excited the way they played the Denver Broncos. And then they play the Ravens, who don't really have a great offense, and Joe Flacco had a really nice day against them. Mm-hmm. So you take them away from Foxborough. They're playing in a neutral site at the Super Bowl, and you got to like the way Eli Manning's playing. I think Tom Brady will be helped playing in the Dome. He hasn't been as sharp as he's usually been, so I expect him to play better. I think both rushing attacks leave a little bit to be desired, but I think the advantage there goes to the Giants because their defense is a little better than the Patriots' defense. So I think it'll be easier for the Giants to run the ball as opposed to the Patriots.
Who are you liking this game, caller?
I'm diehard Giants fan. Hearing everybody put down the season, that's going into the Falcons. nobody even thought they'd beat the Falcons, and we shut them out completely, you know. And just one more question about what do you guys think about the Ravens field goal kicker on that last field goal?
Well, I don't think he should be making comments about, well, I thought it was third down, or he wasn't there, and apparently there was a scramble to get him on the field. You know, that's one of those times where coach needed to call a timeout if there was any kind of debate or wonderment. He was still out there. It's still a pretty easy kick, and even he himself said, "Yeah, it's probably I got to make that kick." You know, it happens every once in a while. You miss one.
Yeah, I mean,
just a bad time.
Yeah, he needed to make that kick. He should make it probably 10 times out of 10 from that distance, 9 times out of 10. So when your team plays so hard and you're the underdog and you get that chance, I feel like, you know, everything gets amplified. Mm-hmm. To me, I really think Lee Evans is the one who should have made the catch, who had the easier play, so to speak, as opposed to the field goal kicker.
That gets
so
lost
I'm
in the
surprised.
shuffle.
Yeah, and the other thing is with the field goal kicker, he makes the kick, it's just tied, you go to overtime. I mean, I'm hard-pressed to believe the Patriots win the toss, they come down, they score, that's very feasible. Whereas Lee Evans makes the catch, Patriots need to score in about 25 seconds.
Right.
So if I'm a Raven fan or proponent of the Ravens, I put more blame on Lee Evans.
But that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the show, where it depends on if you're the GOAT and then somebody else is go-to-your last, that's who they remember. And I don't think Lee Evans is going to get remembered in this shuffle, and I think it all comes down to Cundiff, but I think you're right. Lee Evans should take a little bit of the heat too, but you don't see him raising his hand to take heat. Nobody wants that.
No.
All right, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm good. We can talk about it again as the Super Bowl
we're good
arises.
with football. We got plenty to talk about.
All right. Because I got a question for you. Obviously, the Prince Fielder signed with the Tigers. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. One of the biggest deals in baseball history, 9 years, $214 million. Seems a little crazy, especially for those who may not know. Prince Fielder and his dad are not friendly. They are estranged. So it seems odd that he would go back to carve a path in the same spot where his dad was, basically looking a lot like him, playing the same position, being the same type of player. I was pretty surprised. I don't know if you were as well. But what is the riskiest move in off-season baseball? Is it this? Is it the Angels getting Pujols in there for the amount of money they did? Is it you, Darvish, and all the money the Rangers spent?
I think Fielder is the riskiest proposition because you're giving him so much money, so many years. Look at his body.
Yep.
He should join Charles Barkley, you know, in losing weight.
Well,
but I mean, you look at his body, and it has a good chance of breaking down. Yeah. Even though he's younger than Pujols, at least Pujols takes care of his body. I also think Pujols is really driven in terms of individual accolades, in terms of he's really close to getting in on the ultimate, which is a home run king of all time.
Yep.
So I think that'll motivate him to stay in shape and to perform for the duration of his contract. Well, you mentioned with Fielder and his dad being estranged. Maybe this is like a shot to his dad. Look, I'm going to Detroit. I'm going to go to where you did it, and I'm going to do it even better.
Yeah, that's my only other thought on that.
And then the other thing is, too, when you look at the money, 9 years, $214 million, how many other teams would give him that? So maybe he just went to the highest bidder.
That's why he still hadn't been signed. It just seems like they almost overpaid in a way, because I think at this point, with no other teams really stepping up and nobody wanting to give 9 years, you think they probably could have got Prince Fielder for 3 or 4 at less. But
well, I think that's what I almost give Detroit credit for, because Detroit's not known for getting great free agents. So if you're Detroit and you're competing against Texas, St. Louis, Chicago Cubs, you're going to have to overpay. So if you're overpaying $3 million a year, let's say over the course of 9, that's $27 million. So it looks a lot bigger.
Yeah.
But when you're a team like Detroit, I mean, I'm fired up if I'm part of the Detroit fan base.
Sure.
I mean, they're showing we're making a commitment to winning. That's the best free agent on the market.
Yep.
You know, can either him or Pujols, and he's younger. So you're basically telling your fan base, hey, we're Detroit. We have been bad. Now we're going to make a run at it. Get your season tickets.
Yeah.
We're going.
Yeah, I mean, Miguel Cabrera's already said that I guess they're going to try to move him to third.
Right.
But I think you're going to see one of those two guys, probably Prince, more often DHing, which is the one benefit he has to have a 9-year contract.
Right, now he could DH. So.
Caller, you're on Talking Trash.
Your mother's fat.
What's that?
Your mother's fat.
You don't know my mother.
Is she not?
She's not, actually. But thanks for calling.
Yeah,
thanks for mentioning it.
So now apparently, Charles Barkley, Prince Fielder, and your mother.
And my mother.
Maybe they should do a commercial
I think
together.
this has got to be one of my mom's doppelgangers. Because my mom is not a big woman by any means.
I'm sure. I mean, you must have came from a tremendous gene pool, I'm thinking.
Easy on that. I got a new segment that I want to try out. We're under 10 minutes to go here. The time flies.
Yeah.
It flies in the studio. It's called hashtag All-Star Problems. A lot of people like to hashtag, whatever they're doing, problems, whatever it is that they do. Zamboni driver, equestrians. I've seen it. I've seen them all.
For our
All-Star
less media savvy watchers, can you explain what a hashtag is?
You know what? If you don't know what a hashtag is, all right. Basically, it's a way that you can search for things that people have written on Twitter. So you could write hashtag and then something, and then you can search that stuff a lot easier than you can just regular words. Right. But anyway, I'm gonna go. I got 4 guys who have all-star problems. Want to just discuss whether you feel bad for these guys or whether you think this is not a problem.
I'm feeling very sympathetic this week.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, then I'm gonna start you out with one I don't think you're gonna be on board with, and that's Terrell Owens. He's apparently out of money and out of friends.
You see, T.O., it's fun. A couple of my good friends from college are from the Bay Area, so we were texting back and forth throughout the Giants 49ers game. And I was texting them, Randy Moss available, T.O. available, because it looked like they needed some wide receivers. So, right. I mean, Terrell, as he prefers to be called, lack the sympathy. I do like the fact that he still wants to play and he has a love for the game, right. And he's actually in great shape.
Yep.
So I respect that. But in terms of his lifestyle, him being so brash and stuff, don't respect that. So, and he was kind of a know-it-all.
Yes.
So being a know-it-all, you should know how to take care of your money. So.
Well, just goes to show you that people that say they know it all are usually the people who know the least. Mm-hmm. And in his case, there's a lot of guys that are head cases when they first come in the league. A lot of times it happens with receivers. I don't know what the connection is there. But for some reason, they're always really chatty, and they think they run the world, and they can say whatever they want. And then usually as they start to get older, they kind of settle down on that, and they realize, oh, I need these guys to be my teammates. I don't want to be the guy that everybody hates. But Terrell Owens, he never really cared about that. He just kind of always did his thing. And at some point in his career, I think he started to shut up a little bit more and just go play. But I think it was too late. He had already burned too many bridges across the NFL.
His injury, made him a liability. So.
I think deep down he's a decent guy, and I think he's trying to learn from his mistakes now. But as far as him in the NFL anymore, I don't think it's happening. I think he's going to find another way because he's just got enough charisma that he's going to find a way to get out of his money problems. And at some point, here's real friends will step forward. But it's a weird story to hear about. Yeah. Somebody that just barely was a big star in the NFL a few years ago is all of a sudden bankrupt and feeling alone. Yeah. Get that man a light blue blanket. Call Linus. My next all-star problem.
T.O.
We'll have to wait because we had a call. Or not. And in fact, since there are 5 minutes to go, I'm doing the 2-minute warning unphoned clip. What do you think about that?
It's fine. You got your hashtag.
Peyton Manning. A lot of problems. A lot of people leaving the Indianapolis. They got the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
What's going on with Peyton Manning?
I saw some quotes from Peyton Manning. Oh, woe's him. Oh, the complex is empty. Only time I see coaches is they're emptying out their lockers. You know what, Peyton? It's a business.
Right.
Players empty out their lockers all the time. Maybe you're a little nervous because you knew when you had that previous staff in place, you had carte blanche, you called all the plays, you audibilized whenever you wanted. So now with a new regime coming in, it kind of leaves him a little bit not knowing what's going to happen next. If I'm Peyton Manning, I personally don't think that the Colts are a really good team next year anyway. Even with him coming back, they'll be obviously better than this year, but I don't think they can contend to go to the Super Bowl. If I'm Peyton Manning, I go somewhere else. I go to Miami. I look at San Francisco, I say, so look at that defense. I go there. I go to San Francisco and on the week, during the week, go up to Napa Valley, go to some vineyards, hang out, but I'd go there.
Huh?
I mean, he only needs to put up 20 points a game there and probably win games.
I guess I kind of looked at Peyton Manning as the kind of guy that I thought would be just a Colt for life. He'd won a Super Bowl there. He's been to another one. He's put up numbers for years. He's the face of that franchise, to me. and it seems odd to kind of just all of a sudden go in a different direction when I feel like that team with him this year might have won 9-10 games, and now all of a sudden, because he wasn't there, they were the worst team in the NFL and they got the number 1 pick. Are they really ready to get rid of him and go in a whole new direction with Andrew Luck? I don't know. That's why it's a hashtag all-star problem that we will never have.
I'd get rid of him.
Woof, that's big.
It just costs too much money, and you're getting Luck. Get rid of him.
I'm going to skip Alexander Ovechkin and why he's not playing in the All-Star game, even though that is literally an all-star problem because of his thing, because I want to talk about another hockey player who decided that he would pick a stupid time to make a statement, in my opinion, and that would be everybody's hero locally, Mr. Tim Thomas. And he did not go to the White House, and I consider this an all-star problem because now it's bringing out some other things about him. There was a story on Yahoo saying about how some of his teammates don't like him, an inside source saying that he's ruffling some feathers, and the Bruins might be going with Tuukka Rask now, who looks apparently ready to take over their net, and it seems like he's getting pushed out or might be getting pushed out and not agreeing with his team. I don't know what's going on, but I guess I'm not that surprised to hear about Tim Thomas and his attitude, but I just don't, I'm not saying I disagree with his politics, I just don't feel like that's the time to make a statement because you're just being invited because you guys won the cup. And by the way, that team isn't there without him. So they shouldn't have gone to the White House without him because that's the only reason they won the cup, because he got hot.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Thomas, be careful what you ask for. I mean, you might not have thought this was coming, but obviously everyone's going to take shots at him. I mean, I would think he could handle the public in the media, but when it comes from your team, that's bad news. When you lose respect in the locker room, that's bad news. Now, apparently, like Jason mentioned about players now, anonymous quotes here, chirping to the media that they really don't like him. None of that stuff came out before. So this has given them the impetus and open door to maybe make room for Tim Thomas to get out of there and, go with the younger goalie. I think they'll have to keep Thomas till the end of the year because he has a no-trade clause. Yep. I mean, I don't know if he had to do it again. Would he say the same stuff? But I just think you let down your team aside from politics. Doesn't matter who the president is. It's the highest office in this country. You respect the position, not necessarily the person, as obviously he doesn't. So just respect the position. And
now, if he goes and he makes that trip, he's going to be interviewed about it. That's when you can then make a statement if you want to make a statement. But by not going, it's just the team camaraderie's not there. And let's be honest, I mean, that team wasn't going to be there without him. But we are done on VCAM. And unbeknownst to Becky, we're going to try to talk her into letting us get in some extra innings because we could talk some Australian Open and some UVM men's hoops. So stay tuned on Ustream, but on VCAM, we're out for now.
See you next week.
Thanks for coming.